Do you notice a pattern of being with toxic people? Maybe you look back on the past relationships you've had in your life and you're like, that person seemed like a narcissist. That person was an over narcissist. That person was just plain toxic. That person might have been a psychopath. Like you look back and you see relationships, interactions, friendships, family, and you're like, I feel like I've been brought up with narcissists. I feel like I've had to go through life with a high level of toxicity that I've never experienced in other aspects of life, but like every single relationship I've been in seems to be really toxic. And you might be looking back on those and wondering, what is it about me? Like, why am I so attractive to narcissists or toxic people? And today I want to talk to you about how people are sometimes narcissist magnets. Like they're pulling and drawing narcissists in because of two reasons of why you actually attract narcissists that we're going to go over today. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness, growth, healing, and change. We do it by dropping nuggets of truth all over on social media. So if you don't follow TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, like and join the community there because we'd love to interact with you. Maybe you're driving today and you want to listen to the podcast. We got on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Look at us up under Raw Motivations. If you want to take your healing and your growth to the next level, then I want to talk to you real quick about the NARC app. Just look it up under narcapp.com, narcapp.com, stands for Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Community. And that community piece is huge because you need to have people in your life that actually understand. Because a lot of times you're engaging with family or friends or sometimes even a therapist and they don't really get it. They don't really understand about the stuff that you've had to go through. And inside this community is people that can give you advice, support, and encouragement. You can take lessons. You can track your no contact. You can journal some of your healing process and be able to help you move forward in that healing, growth, and change. You can ask questions that get answered on weekly lives. You can join the monthly coaching calls where we talk to people all across the globe to try to help propel you forward and not just looking at the past, but like what's next? How do we continue that healing journey? How do we continue into growth mode as we move forward? Would love to have you engage with that. Go to narcapp.com. Check that out there. Really quick, if you hadn't heard from myself and my wife on our new podcast, it's called Trauma, Drama, and Life under Apple Podcasts. Check that out. Would love to talk to you one-on-one to be able to help you through the process that you're going through as well. I meet with people every single day that are narcissistic abuse survivors that are trying to make sense of the confusion and the crazy making that they've had to go through and to help them get clarity in the aspect of how to rewire their mindset because they've stuck in a trauma bond where they know that they shouldn't be back with this person, but they want to go back with that toxic person. And I work with people to try to get through the rumination phase and to detox from that so that they're not always constantly thinking or trying to go back. And then I try to help people set up boundaries so that you know what boundaries are, that you don't go back to that toxic person and you don't get involved with a toxic person down the road. So you don't become a narcissist magnet. All right, so as we're diving into narcissist magnet, why you're so attracted to the narcissist, a lot of times people say, like, I keep having narcissism in my life. I see a pattern. And then they question, why do I keep going to a narcissist? Or why do they keep coming to me? And a lot of times the question gets posed of, like, what is wrong with me? Because it seems like I attract narcissists time and time and time again. I just don't get it. Well, before we talk about like why they come after you, or before we talk about why they're why attracted to you, I think you need to understand there's times that people go after narcissists to start off with. Okay, not excusing anything, so stick with me. There's times that you go after narcissists because of number one, your upbringing was narcissistic. A lot of times people will be in a narcissistic family, narcissistic father, narcissistic mom. They'll get out of that family system and they'll continue to move through life. And then what becomes attractive to them is people with narcissistic traits. The reason why is because even though it's unhealthy, even though it's toxic, it becomes comfortable. It becomes something that you're used to dealing with or you're used to seeing exemplified from your parental figures that this is love. Now, as a result, you get with someone that you think this is love, and then you start to realize later on down the road, this is actually abuse. And this is actually not healthy at all for my own health, for my own safety, for my own emotional and mental support. This isn't helping me move forward in life. Oftentimes, people also go after narcissists because they're looking for validation. And a lot of times that looking for validation, that attention seeking, the idea where a lot of times stemming back from childhood of not getting validation, of not having people pay attention, of being abandoned, a lot of different things like that happens, that you look for validation and attention. And as a result, you start to sacrifice your values. You start to sacrifice the things that actually set you apart from being with that toxic person. But a lot of times people will go after a narcissist because of those couple things. So the thing you have to understand is a lot of people think that narcissists go after you because of multiple different reasons. And they're actually not true. Because you can have someone who is with a very highly and successful person and then go cheats on them with someone who's less beautiful, less good looking, less wealthy, less status. Like, it doesn't really matter. And so you need to understand, narcissist doesn't choose you solely because of your money, of your sex, of the status, of education, of society, of looks, of how great the relationship is, whatever it might be. They don't choose you because of those. I really think it's more than that. And it's deeper than that. Because what they're looking for typically is people who will sacrifice their own values and will give up and worship them regardless of any abuse that they're actually giving. This is why a lot of narcissists will keep pushing the envelope and keep pushing, trying to get more and more supply from you and from other people, because they don't really care what that person is, who they are, or who they actually are exemplified in a day-to-day basis, and who they actually are in values and vision. But what they care about is what they're bringing to the table. We touched on that in the video earlier today about narcissists not missing you, but it's like the DoorDash driver. They'd rather say, like, I miss, what you brought me. I miss the fact that you're not bringing me food anymore as a DoorDash driver, but I don't miss you as the delivery driver. I don't really care about you. So if you haven't watched that, watch that one. Okay. Anyways, 2 reasons why you attract narcissists. These are the 2 main reasons that I've found working with people, seeing a lot of different content, talking to people, having lots of one-on-ones, interacting with people. The 2 biggest reasons I think that boils down to the reason why you attract narcissists. Number 1 is you have no boundaries. Maybe that's something that you grew up with, that you grew up in a family that didn't have boundaries, that didn't actually teach those of values and those ideas of like, okay, this is what you should allow, this is what you shouldn't allow. It was more or less just like, do whatever. Or it was more or less of like, we don't actually teach you these things. As a result, people get into relationships and they never really thought about boundaries before. Like, they've never really thought of like, what are boundaries? Like, why do I even need them? Like, why do they even matter? And a lot of times you get into a relationship and you're used to your boundaries getting crossed, or you're used to boundaries not being something in your life. And as a result, that person just kind of walks all over you. We see this time and time again, whether you're poor or whether you're rich, whether you're beautiful, whether you're struggling in life, whether you're going, like, whatever it might be. It doesn't really matter your status or your symbol or your money or education or anything like that. But people in all different walks of life a lot of times don't have boundaries. And oftentimes that's opening up the door for toxicity to walk in and manipulate you even more. Sometimes people think, what's the point of having boundaries? Because no one listens. Because no one actually responds. And a lot of times that goes back to childhood of not being taught boundaries, but then like parents, friends, family, not actually respecting those. And as a result, a lot of it goes back to having to dive into who you actually are and to build up those boundaries and understand that, hey, you're worth more than how other people are treating you. A big aspect with boundaries too is a lot of times people are like, I don't even know where to start. Like, I keep hearing this word boundaries, but I have no clue where I need to start. And a lot of times it's because they don't have a defined sense of direction. It's like you have either boundaries that you grew up with that are like reactionary, of like, I don't want this in my life. I don't want to act this way because my parents act this way. I don't want to have a person who lies to me because that's been something I've had in my life all this time. And then you have action boundaries of like, okay, I don't want this in my life because I'm living this direction. I'm living with intentionality in this direction. And as a result, everything else that doesn't match up to the direction I'm going, that's a boundary. That's something I don't want in my life. Oftentimes people think like boundaries are even like abusive, or like you shouldn't like put this on another person. You're not putting anything on another person. A boundary is meant for yourself, and it's meant for self-protection. So that you don't go past where your values are. You don't go past where you've said, this is the line in the sand of the abuse that I'm willing to put up with. Shouldn't put up with any, but I'm trying to make a point. First reason why you attract narcissists is you have no boundaries. Second reason why you attract narcissists is you have no sense of self. Now, a lot of times this leads even further and deeper inside is the aspect of not being worthy, not being good enough, not having worth. And typically it boils down to the fact that you don't know who you are. Sometimes that's the age-old question of like, who am I? Who am I apart from what I do? Who am I when I show up? Like, who am I actually here today? Who am I? And when people don't know who they are, it's easy for a toxic person to come into your life and manipulate that image of yourself, to manipulate what you're thinking, what you're doing, because you don't have anything defined. A lot of times people don't have a defined vision and values, a defined direction that they're going. And as a result, the narcissist is like, this is great. I can mold this person. I can make them exactly how I want them to be. This is why a lot of times you'll find narcissists that go after people much younger than them. 10, 15 years younger than them, because they want someone that is younger that they can mold and define to be the person that they want them to be. A lot of times, because of no sense of self and you don't know who you are, you have a poor outlook on your worth. And you have an even poorer outlook on your value. And as a result, someone comes into your life and it's easy to get that validation. It's easy to get that attention from someone and be like, oh, this is what I now need. This is what love means. And they keep you in a place where you can only go back to them for validation. They keep you in a place where then they're isolating you from your friends and family, people that could speak truth into your life. So when you're looking at the reason of why you keep attracting narcissists, I want you to look in two areas. What are the boundaries that you have? And do you know who you are? It can be very confusing. It can be very hard going through all this. But I need you to understand, you're not alone, you're not crazy, and you're not helpless. Reach out for help.